Israel, all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rahak, Kodash, the apostles and elders of Great Millstone Ruel. Peace, salutations, blessings to the elect, pushing the truth across the four corners of earth, risking your life to do so. And yeah, we had mentioned this image up here at the live stream in Chi-Town. And you know, you just evaluate what you see. Of course, you got Trump, you got the swords with the look like some the stock on something in the background, stock chart. Yeah, the U.S. dollar is down 11%. It's the greatest dip since like the late 70s, 80s. Definitely in a trade war, you know, and gas just went down, so a lot of people like, oh, okay, well, I pay $5 less for, you know, $10 less for gas now. It's all good. But in the background, that debt is increasing, you know, and it's just one of the reasons why Trump had to do the thing with his paymasters. He had to endorse the Tiny Tops is because they're the primary lenders, right? In order for you to be a lender, which that's how you really make money in this country, you have to be a lender, right? You have to be a lender. You have to be able to lend out currency, and of course, in the past, you couldn't charge usury necessarily to your own people. But in this place, you can charge exorbitant usury. And that's basically how quantitative easing works, you know. We're going to allow you to buy now, but then you're going to pay great interest later. Right, that thick clay. And you got Putin next to the president of China, but then next to Habibi. And of course, you got pills, you got drugs. That's, you know, big business, because a lot of people suffering. You know, they don't see all that. They don't see up. They don't see a solution to this. They don't see any salvation. You know, a lot of the motivational videos I watch with Jake, they'll say some things that are true, but then they'll say another thing: nobody coming to save you. You know, but for the elect, he said, my Redeemer liveth. Yeah, somebody is coming to buy back us from this place of captivity, right? To free us from this system. Somebody's gonna do that, right? And that's Yahushai. All right, that's why all these things have to happen. These world events have to happen. The things in Iran, hey, and Trump, he's talking real big to Iran. Hey, you guys are shooting at unarmed protesters. If you keep doing that, it's going to become a problem. Right? And then Iran is also talking big shit too. Shit, we can go to war with anybody. We got the nukes. So things are heating up, and we have military bases pretty much surrounded. Matter of fact, let me show you. Check out all these bases, and you know what goes down in this region. You got tanks. Yeah, you know, or watching all these different things play out. This country did this. This country did. See, things begin as trade wars. Everybody wants stuff for cheap, but then, hey, we have this kind of relationship with this country because we help them with our military, so we get this for cheap, or we have this relationship with this country because they're a vassal state unto us. All right, but now everybody else, like the scriptures say, Um, let the weak say I'm strong. See, all these nations are now going back against America. Like, nah, we ain't going for that shit. We want full price. We want full inclusion. Um, and Esau has a problem with that. And all these Edomites know it. You cannot stay on top forever, and and not show your dominance. That's one of the things that made Rome so tough, right? Because if they didn't like you, they would just come in and they would just kill you. You know, it's not like now where, of course, they'll get you, but now they kind of they'll assassinate your character, or they'll make you look like an asshole. Let me read some scriptures. And this is why everybody who does business with the West, they have a gripe. Right? Ecclesiastes 10 and 11, it says, surely the serpent will bite without enchantment, and the babbler is no better. And another one says, what? Nobody's going to pity who will pity a serpent charmer? Right? Because you know how these people deal. You've watched, their empire. You know who you're dealing with. Right, looking at a couple more images. You got robots. You got and I'm not with that global warming thing. That seems like a lot of bullshit to me. But this is supposed to be I think it looks like a Greek ship. I don't know what that is. You got tanks, President Zelensky. You have robot dogs. Yeah, it's about to get jumping. I see this, I think of Revelation 18. The ships standing afar off. And you see fire in the background. Hey, the Lord said it. He said, what? Except these times be sped up, no flesh be saved, because it's so much going on. Then the last one, you got the brain plugged up to the controller. We know what that is. That's the mark of the beast, what we always keep going into. You take that mark, you're deemed for destruction. And see, these kind of messages, now it's not just an accident or an artist trying to be funny. These are actually commissioned by the elites. Right? They're commissioned by the elites. Hey, this is the image we're going for. They have the artists working on it. Ecclesiastes 10 and 16. Woe to thee, O land, when thy king is a child, and thy princes eat in the morning. Because it was a custom, basically, it really didn't eat in the morning like that. You would wait until a meal was made. I read something else, basically, business, that's when business was done in the morning. I still kind of do that myself in the morning. That's, you listen to a lot of information, a lot of news, mostly. And then they would make the meal or the bread or whatever. Right? That's what the grinding was for. You come to a city, you hear grinding. Right? You hear people, you hear work being done. Right? Grinding that meal to make the bread. Right? But you make the food, and then you break your fast. It's breakfast. But when your princes are eating in the morning, because the prince, that's that's one of the highest, the higher level dignitaries. Basically, it's talking about being greedy. Right? When the king is a child and the prince is eating in the morning, and that's exactly what goes on under this empire. Right? The top 10% basically own so much that they would never, if they just kept what they had, it would take generations, for them to go poor. And this is one of the Rothschilds actually admitted. So this isn't just this isn't conspiracy. Everything we say is factually based, and we've checked it and researched it and read through it, and we've watched it over the course of years. That's why our enemies can't gainsay it.
So he was born in a place called the Judengasse, which was a Jewish ghetto, basically. And it was the house that he lived in when he eventually had 13 children was only 14 feet wide. And he lived there with his very, very overpowering and dominant and an incredibly brilliant wife who was called Guttel. He was determined to get out of this ghetto. At nighttime, the ghetto was closed. You weren't allowed to leave. The street was so narrow that no sunlight could penetrate. There was no plumbing, there was no sewage, there was nothing. So everything you can imagine happened in this street. And unsurprisingly, he wanted to get out of there. And he started a small coin business, and that did reasonably well. But actually, and this is where it ties into legacy, his great strength was to send his 5 sons to the capitals of Europe at that time. And what they did is they set up, in effect, the first international banking system. So whereas everyone used to be in separate different countries or separate cities until then, these 5 boys communicated with each other, sometimes by pigeon, and they wrote to each other in Judendeutsche, which was a kind of Yiddish German vernacular. And that is why they were so successful. And this absolute belief in togetherness, you've got to stand together, you've got to work together, you've got to work across borders, you've got to work with rules. And by 1789, when the last one went, to 1815, so a very, very short period of time, it was said that no government or king would consider going to war without the Rothschilds supporting them, because that was how incredibly influential and powerful they had become.
Yeah, no king would even go to war with them. Right? The borrower is subject to the lender. That's how they were able to take over. All right, hey, I was reading another report. Whoever controls the banks, the money system, all of that, that's who basically is in power. Which the king, he had a certain treasury, and then he could issue certain things out, but he also is not supposed to sit there and try to be ultra rich over everybody while everybody else is ultra poor like this. I believe the Rothschilds in like their 7th generation. It's like the 7th generation of rulership for them. And she's not telling the part where they also commune with Satan and all of this other. She's not giving the full report. Of course, she's not gonna say that, but so people are mad. Right? Ecclesiastes 10:17. Blessed art thou, O land, when thy king is the son of nobles, and thy princes eat in due season. All right? They're not just greedy and just because in this current system, like what people really don't understand is like if you were here continually, like like people just don't get that part. If we were here continually, you would never advance. You would be a debt slave forever. You would never get out of debt. All right? Just like your parents before you who paid that house off, paid that mortgage off, but something end up happening where they lose it or something. Or, some people actually kept it, but now you have to redo everything in the house. You basically have to repay for the house. You have to get everything redone. Right? Then, there's the college thing. You can't just get a big job, high paying job regularly, without a college diploma. All right. Whoa, hey. When I king is the son of nobles, because they're gonna actually think about their subjects, versus somebody greedy who I don't care. We just I'm just about me. I'm rich, and fuck all of you. Right? And that's what these Edomites are figuring out. They're like, damn, Trump is doing this with these tiny tops, sitting there talking about he's the first Jewish president and all of this other stuff. But he's not taking care of his own people who put him in there. All right, so now the red nation, red tide, and it's crazy, man. They had billboards all around the country for for that movement. Now these Edomites are looking real salty, and oh god damn, when is he gonna make a move? Right? That nobody cares about gas prices. They talk about taxes. When are our taxes gonna go down? When are these damn Somalians who done got paid off of this scam? When are they gonna get theirs? And all the rest. Right? It says that princes eat in due season for strength and not for drunkenness, and that's basically what this place is about, man. Drunkenness, fulfill your lust, obey your thirst. Hungry? Just do it. Right? The food is polluted, the women are polluted, so when you do go to fulfill your lust, and that's something they do with a lot of artists too, you notice. They keep them going to parties, they keep them with liquor in their hand, drugs, and they keep them going until, like the scriptures say, basically don't spend up your fortune banqueting. Right? They had you in the strip clubs throwing money and all this other shit. Right? You become subject to banqueting. Right? And that's what this place teaches you to do. Just, live a certain lifestyle. But the average person can't actually, everybody's faking is what you find out. You see things on TV, which, MTV, they last, the water how about you was shot, because MTV was always garbage. But they put out that image, man. Have everybody think that they're gonna, be rich and through luxury and, big balling and all this shit. People on there with shit that they don't actually even own. It's just on there pump faking. All right, but they wanna be shown that they're, living a certain lifestyle though. All right, and that's what America teaches you to do. Live a certain lifestyle and keep faking it, keep faking the funk. All right, meanwhile, the people who own the contracts for Diddy, who own, the masters for all these Israelites who are the face of it, the Edomites, in the background, they didn't got rich. Right? You didn't got poor, your people did. Disenfranchised, like the scriptures say, women rule over them, children rule over them. Right? There's no success around this man. They are the serpents. It says, by much slothfulness the building decayeth, and through idleness of the hands the house droppeth through. And that's eventually what happened to our people. All right, it said, how has Israel become dross? Right, then your house fails. Right, but now the Lord is restoring our house. He said, I will bring back the house of David. Right, and restore us as he said, better. Matter of fact, I'm gonna restore you better than the beginning. All right, you're gonna be greater than you were, firstly, but that's only for the elect. All right, now you read about the king, because this is all a king's lesson on rulership. You young, you play Monopoly and shit, you want to own all the properties. You know what I'm saying? It teaches you to be greedy. Right? But in reality, rulership and ownership is completely different. Right? Yeah, and then the kingdom is going to be 144,000 rulers, and things are going to be done a certain way, where it's not oppressive like it is in this place. This place is oppressive, man, and you know they're not teaching your kids in the school system for them to excel. They're teaching them so that they could just get a certain amount of funding from the government. Everything is about funding, man. Everything is about fucking funding. You sell out niggas. You do this shit for funding. 501c3 charters, or you want to be a part of this. What's it called? Incorporate, right? A company that has uh, what is it? Incorporate an incorporated company. They have special privileges which are given to them by the government. Right? That's what everybody wants to be, incorporated. This is Deuteronomy 17, and because we want to be incorporated by the Lord, man. Fuck being incorporated with this place. I want to be incorporated by Yahweh Shai. All right, this is Deuteronomy 17, and I'm going to start at verse 14. It says, "When thou art come into a land which the Lord thy power giveth thee, and shall possess it, and shall dwell," because he said what? I give you, we get benefits daily. All right, but back to this, it says, "And shall dwell therein, and say, I will set a king over me, that is like as all the other nations about me," right? Because Israel had judges, but they wanted a king. We wanted a king. We want a king. And it was told to him, okay, you want a king, okay, well you're gonna pay taxes to the king if you want one. And the people said, okay, right, which it was set up through the Spirit anyway. Right, and Judah was the royal house, and that's who Yahweh Shai comes through. Right, the seed of David, that lineage of the royal house for us, the kings. Right, but anyway, verse 15, "Thou shalt in any wise set him king over thee, whom the Lord thy power shall choose. One from among thy brethren shall thou set king over thee. Thou mayest not set a stranger over thee, which is not thy brother." And that's exactly what our people do. Right? They make a covenant with the heathen. Look, we're going to serve this person. And, it never seems to work out. We make a covenant with this person, and it never seems to work out. Right, and there's no, like nobody's gonna see Trump at the store and hey man, what's going on with? Nobody's gonna see them, right? Nobody's gonna see the Rothschilds in their private estate somewhere. Right, nobody's gonna see, but you being subject unto these people, people just go with it, right? Because America's weak and docile and defeated. Right? And that's why all these other nations, they're going to turn on America. It says, "But he shall not multiply horses to himself, nor cause the people to return to Egypt." Right. So you're not going to put your people, just like in Egypt, the money failed, people had to sell themselves. But you're not supposed to cause your people to return to Egypt like it says. You're not supposed to put them in a bind like that, right? Basically becoming bond men and bond women, to the end that he should multiply horses. For as much as the Lord hath said unto you, ye shall henceforth return no more that way. Neither shall he multiply wives to himself, that his heart turn not away. Neither shall he greatly multiply to himself silver and gold. So it's a balance. Yeah, you have the king, but it's a balance. It's a balance to him. You're not just supposed to be just ultra rich like now, and everybody else, don't have shit. It says, "And it shall be when he sitteth upon the throne of his kingdom, that he shall write him a copy of this law in a book out of that which is before the priest, the Levites." So the king had to write out the whole law. Is it not? It says what? Judgment is the performance of the law. One of the reasons why this place is going to burn is because it's a whore. What do? You burn a whore. There's a lot of judgments that the Lord uses which are reflective of his law, which is a righteous thing. All right, and there's rules stated for anybody to see. See, in this kingdom, you just, they could just change the law. Okay, well, we're gonna have people vote on this law, and then the senators get a tap on the shoulder. They get a, that Rolex comes in. Hey, we need you to vote this way, and then the law changes this way. And that's basically how everything works. Whoever's paying, whoever the lobbyists are sent to influence, right? Which that's what Trump said. We need more. This is his direct words. He said, yeah, we need to listen to more Jewish lobbyists. Jewish lobbyists have helped to destroy you. All right, but hey, money, man, money will change people. All right, but back to this. Yeah, there's a law. There's supposed to be a law on there's laws on everything which are written by the Heavenly Father. So you have to be versed in the law, and that's what you judge people by. All right, this place they freestyle. They just add shit. Can't go over here. Can't do this. Can't do that. You park on this street, you get $100 ticket. You park here between 7 and 3, it's $100 ticket. And then because it's, of course you have different rules for a city or whatever, but this place they're grievous with it. And then you get taxed on this, then you get taxed on that, then you get taxed on this. Then if you don't pay this tax, you get a fine for this, and then you have to submit your form for all the money you made for this year, and then you get taxed on that after you already got taxed on the check. And then if you don't submit it in time, you get a penalty tax. It's oppressive, man. It's oppressive, and like I said, if this man was allowed to rule, the scriptures say no flesh will be saved. You will be oppressed forever. You will be a debt slave forever. Your children will be debt slaves forever. Their children, it would never end. And that's why this place is called Egypt. Right, it says, and it shall be with him, and he shall read therein all the days of his life, that he may learn the fear of the Lord, fear the Lord his power, and to keep all the words of this law and these statutes to do them. And that's what we're going to get, man. Righteous rulership. Righteous rulership, and the law is going to be written in the inward parts of all of Israel. Right? All of Israel is going to be perfect once we're back in our land. Right? And that's prophecy. That's just what it says. Right? Verse 20, that his heart be not lifted up above his brethren. Hey, that's one of the reasons that America is likened unto Babylon. Right? Because it says, he said, I saw a man, it's in Daniel, he said, I saw a man and he was lifted up. Right? Just the pride. When you read in Judith about Nebuchadnezzar, he got mad and he just went through and just conquered the known world basically. I just went through just mad as hell. Right? And the Lord was with that for a time until he was humble. He said that he turned not, and Trump is definitely lifted, because scriptures say strength and riches lift up the heart. So he's proud. Right, these Edomites who make it big, they got the, this dude is in the damn WWE Hall of Fame. He got everything, he ever wanted his whole life. What did he say? My father gave me a small loan of $1 million. Like, what? This guy is super proud. Who says that? My father gave me a small loan of $1 million. Right, but that's what happens when you're lifted up, and that's why these people, serve these Amalekites behind the scenes who make these deals with them, and get them to a certain point, coach them, it's called the kingmaker. They put them in a position, but, hey, don't forget who put you here. It says, and that he turned, and see, the fear of the Lord is not with these people. It says, and that he turned not aside from the commandment to the right hand or to the left, to the end that he may prolong his days in his kingdom, he and his children, and in the midst of Israel. And when you read through Kings, you see who followed that well and who didn't follow that well. Right? You note that. Right? And we're all going to keep that well in the end. And right now is the rehearsal of seeing, how not to do it. This is the greatest lesson of what not to do ever seen. All right. The Lord willing, this has been edifying. We're going to continue to watch close, continue to pray, continue to fast, continue to call forth for the kingdom of heaven and the destruction of Babylon. Shalom to the elect.